Hey guys, I'm super excited to take you through this tutorial and show you my step-by-step process on how I'm using VoxAI at the moment. We released a bunch of features that really changed the way I'm creating my assets at the moment, and um, it's been a while since the last tutorial. So since the last tutorial, we have released the image to image feature that lets you essentially transform a reference image. It can be a real image, it can be a cartoon image, it can be anything, and voxelize it so that it will then give you a better 3D output. And we have improved our best image to 3D AI model, as well as released two other image to 3D model, and I'll show you some of the differences with some real use case here. So without further ado, let's dive in, and thank you very much for watching. I hope it's helpful. If you need more help, if you have questions, don't hesitate to join the Discord, share your creations, share your reference image. We can make tests for you. Just let us know. So see you in Discord, and thanks a lot for watching. I wanted to capture today my current process on how I'm using the tool. I wanted to share with you a concrete example on how I use it in a real situation. So essentially right now I'm working on the game. So it's going to be a voxel-based game, setting up in a hunting environment. So the first thing I wanted to do is to prototype some of the animals that we would hunt in that game. And so what I usually do in that case is I'm going to use an AI tool. It can be a ChatGPT, or in that case here I'm using Kimi. It can be DeepSeek or anything else that you like to use. And I'm going to give him the context. I'm building a game that is going to be hunting based, inspired a little bit by, for some of you guys who knows Dave the Diver, but I want it into a hunting context. And I'm going to ask it to to give me prompts to generate images of a bunch of animals from different type of forest environment. And it did just that, give me around 10 prompts. I started to generate some VoxAI. I'm going to continue. So the first thing we're going to cover, so prior to generate 3D models, it's going to be to generate our images. Um, so let me pick one of those. So let's say this one looks good, a red river hog. So I'm gonna just copy the prompt. I'm gonna head to VoxAI and okay, river hog, give it a name, and we're gonna generate. So I started to generate some of those. So let me generate a few, and then we'll pick one that we one or two that we like. Hey guys, when I was editing the tutorial, I realized that I forgot to shoot one part of it. And so to give you more context, basically after generating a bunch of image from the text prompt only, I realized that some of them were not up to my expectations, like the porcupine, although I really like the shape. The the eyes were not really here, so I felt that it could be improved. Same for same for the uh, same for the pangolin here, which has got like a sort of shape that looks like a pangolin. It's fully blue, so we're gonna definitely improve that with the image to image model, and same as well for the if there's another one. Uh, and same, yeah, we missed it. And same for the IRAX here. So essentially what I'm going to do is research a bunch of reference picture on Google, like real picture of those animals, and supplement them with the prompt, maybe change a few things in the prompts if necessary, and then hopefully get better result. And I will show you, you will see how they look. So this one actually, while browsing the images for that animal that was not really um, familiar with, I noticed that it has like a sort of natural pissed off face. So I'm gonna add that to the prompt and see if that helps us to get something better. Also, while it's pretty cool actually for the image, and that can be good when you're making images to tease your game or something like that. For generating models, I don't necessarily want it to be on the granite, so I'm just going to remove that part. I think it's natural and iconic. This stuff face. So what else we have? That monkey. That monkey looks kind of cool and was not really well captured by my prompt initially. Um, this one's beautiful. So let me find that in Kimi. The initial prompt will be faster. All right. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So you know what? We face what nose. Uh, blue, blue and white face, nose stripe, and yellow legs. All right. Okay, now let's check the result that we have so far and generate a few models. All right, so here are the results of our image to image generation. And as you can see, I think usually brings much better result, of course, closer to the picture. While the text to image allows more like creativity from scratch, I think when you're trying to represent something more accurately, the image to image is usually gonna be the way to go. So this one is really cool, but it's not gonna be great for us to generate because of the branch, but I think this one is more well-rounded overall. So let's generate that one. And here, okay, now with the Irax, I think this one to me is pretty cool because it sort of captured that nasty expression of the animal. And you may have wondered, this one is one of the brand new feature that we added recently, which is the cube size selector. By default, I usually generate with the default value, which is 0.32, which gives you, I would say, kind of like a medium level of detail. And then, of course, according to what you're trying to do, whether you generate something with lower details like Minecraft, or you want to go in higher details, you can play around with the size of the cubes. But don't worry about it because you can revoxelize your model once you have generated once. So you can always play around with that later. So when you start, you as use the default value. That would be my advice. But then once you start to be more aware of what you want, you can by default select, for instance, 0.025 is a good standard, or you can just go for the smallest if that's what you want. As a rule of thumb, I think I like to see what the model looks like with the average value. I think I like our initial porcupine, but I definitely like that one better because now it has a proper muzzle and eyes. I like the number one, number two, actually, so we're gonna generate both and we'll see which one looks better in 3D later. Porcupine is definitely better. It was full blue before without any eyes. I think that one is overall more interesting shape. I think that should be it for the image to image. And now, next step, we're going to review our model. So we'll see the one that we generated from the text to image and image to image. All right, so let's review our models. So here was one of the first that we have voxelized. That was the serval from the text to image is actually overall quite good. So essentially, to give you more context, now we managed to achieve flatter, smoother texture, thanks mostly to actually having the image in Voxel Art helps a lot in that process. And then, of course, the model from image to 3D getting better. But having those images in Voxel Art in the style that we want really helps the output in 3D. So in this one, actually, I kind of like it with that level of detail. I don't see that we'll get much more benefits revoxelizing, but essentially here you can revoxelize your assets with a smaller or larger chip size according to the level of details you're seeking. But I like this one like this, so I'm not going to touch it. Let's move on to the hog. So this one um, has a few, I think could have been a touch better on the eyes. I like the colors and overall shape. Um, so the issue is usually what I would advise. That was maybe a mistake in my prompt initially, but do not mention any like soil or any other detail if you want to have like clear result like those other three. But out of curiosity, I'm just gonna make the cube size smaller. Usually a good benchmark value for me is 25. That will let us know rather quickly whether it's worth lowering more or if we won't get more benefits. So usually it takes a few seconds, but while we're doing this, we can review other models. So I kind of like this one actually. Is the Q could be a bit better, the tail, sorry. Uh, but I kind of like the face. I'm curious to see if it renders better with a smaller chip size. So let's try with this one as well. So let's wait for our. I'm not gonna try to pronounce the name of that animal. So let's go with this wild pig. So you see when we lower it's actually better. So you get more details right now. We have a proper two eyes that we didn't really get in our first generation. And I think that's good enough. I think that level of detail is quite good. I could definitely see myself hunting this character in my game. So same here, I think we get a slightly more polished model with the tone out. So what I would do here is, will be hard to get it with AI, so I would just work on the tail. I mean the back of the model a bit manually. But that's really good, especially for a prototype. Kind of happy with this one too. All right, so this one here, for some reason, is really lacking details. You see, we don't really have the eyes. The horns here kind of stick together. Not sure if we can improve that, but maybe get we can enhance the texture a bit. So let's try. Let's try to reduce the cube size. And let's move on to this one. So this one actually is not bad at all. So same remark as before, would usually be careful with the prompt and make sure that we don't have this kind of like platform here. That will not really help us, but we can remove that quite easily in your voxel editor. This one I think will benefit too if we slightly lower the cube size as well. Okay, so now it's gonna be a funny one because as anticipated, those spikes here, although they look pretty good on the picture, I think are not gonna render well. It's really, I think every texture that is gonna hairy is usually hard to render. Um, while we could try it, I don't think it's gonna get any better when we lower the cube size. Take a look at this one. I think this one is pretty cool. Show good potential. The shape is on point. Although a bit of work would be required on the hands, I think is quite nice. And we might get a slightly better result with a smaller cube size. That's right. In the meantime, let's review our model. So you can see it costs 1 credit to regenerate your model, which was created so that people don't abuse this function. So, okay, so here's actually slightly better. Now we have space between the horns, but we still don't really get the eyes well. And let's try to go further down and see what's up. So now, yeah, I think the river hog is slightly better. We get eyes. I think this could be optimized a bit manually, but overall, I think I like the colors. The shape is not bad. This one, I think could be funny according to what you're trying to achieve, but it's a bit too much for for my taste. A bit, it's quite interesting, but yeah, not sure if I would really use that model, but why not? Okay, so it start to get better here. I think for fun, let's just go to the minimum, see what we get. And how about this one? Yeah, touch better. I think the eyes is still a bit messy. So usually the lower the cube size, the smaller cube size, the more faces you might have in returns. So that's why sometimes you don't want to go too low according to the environment where you're going to use your model. But I just want to push it to the limits. So again, there you see, now we get more details out of the model. We have a better face. We have clear separation between the horns. We get the stripes. So overall, pretty good. We still get a smooth surface without too much unnecessary cubes. Kind of like it. So let's see how this one goes. So here you'll find usually a little indication of how long each generation process takes. And now we get a better face. Overall, yeah, not bad. Now let's see the other ones that we still didn't check. So the IRAX for me um, is better than the first one overall. However, sometimes that happens. There can be a bit of a unpredictable result. So we see we have a full like blank backbone horizon. So what I'm gonna do in that scenario is I'm gonna try to regenerate this model with the other image just 3D model. So for now, we don't have a super easy way to do it. So we'll try to make your life easier in the next update. So for now, what you can do is you save your image in PNG, and we are gonna regenerate it with our image to 3D model. So you can also just in case you don't want to generate voxel style image, you can put any image in the image to 3D model. So we're going to use this time VoxAI stable, and if the result is not good enough, I will try the 100. So we're going to use our Irax, and let's go. So no worries, if you reuse the same image, you can always see which model you have used here. So in the meantime, we can see the rest of our models. This one is actually better than the first one, I think. We have a bit more, we have the eyes and the muscle. But I think this one by default is gonna be hard to get something better in terms of spikes than those. It looks like almost looks like a sheep. So I mean, it can be a style, why not? But I think there's a lot of faces on that model, and this one is yeah, is a bit of a shit show as well. So this one is a bit of a miss for me, but I still find it quite funny. Let's take a look at the pangolin. I think overall, I mean, it's not bad. Shape easier. Can try to lower it. It's just a less interesting model, I think. I would try to improve the image overall, make it maybe change the colors, make it more interesting. I think the results based on the image is not bad, but the final model is not ideal. Still curious to see what we get if we lower the cube size. But I would retry that one with maybe a different reference image and something a bit more colorful. All right, so now let's wait for our models to finish, and I'll check you back in a few seconds. All right, I think now it's actually much better, even in terms of color. That makes the model much more interesting with those variations of brown, a bit of gray, and we get distinct eyes. Actually, really like it that way. So you could play around, maybe optimize it a little bit by going backward a little bit. Try to have a little less faces and maybe find a good balance between the in the cube size and the result. But I really like this one, so keep it like this for now. And let's see. So you see, okay, so that's the main difference now compared to what we had before here with VoxAI V1. So we might have something slightly less detail with less variation of colors. You can see the front here to me looks more, not only to me, more interesting than here. However, the texture is more stable. We get a good result overall. Out of curiosity, I'm gonna try to lower the cube size a bit to see if we get a slightly better results on the eyes. And maybe just to show you the difference, we can still generate it with the last model, Hunyuan IRX, so you can see the differences. When you create a new account in VoxAI, usually as a starter, you will see a bunch of different model generated with all the different image to 3D model that we have, so you can see the differences. All right, so yeah, now we get slightly better eyes detail. I think this one might be hard to optimize completely in VoxAI, so you might want to put in the editor and work a little bit on those eyes. But I think overall you have a good base, good prototype and workable shape. So let's see, I would like to show you, to finish this full tutorial process, I'd like to show you um, the result with the with Hunyuan. All right, so let's take a look at the one generated by Hunyuan. It's actually not bad, especially in that level of detail. I think we get clear eyes. It's quite close to the picture. Might get a bit more detail on that one, but I think this one is very decent, especially if we want to go for a lower level of detail style, lower resolution. Especially if we want to go for a more simplistic style. So that's it basically. I hope that was helpful. This was my unfiltered process to go from a game idea to prototyping a bunch of assets by feeding your favorite LLM provider with your game idea and ask it to basically give you good prompts, good description for a bunch of characters, a bunch of items that you want to generate. Then usually, unless it's something really extraordinary or from the fantastic world, but even actually you could find references image for that, you will usually get better result when you use the image to image model here in combination with a prompt, as we've seen with the monkey, for instance, and others. But you can definitely otherwise use the text to voxel image directly. And then, as a rule, when you generate 3D, I advise you to start with the latest model, VoxAI Res, to get a better texture. But then, based on what you're trying to do, based on the level of details you're going for, the VoxAI stable and Hunyuan will be really solid solutions. And then I strongly invite you as well, as we've seen for the pangolin, to play with the cube size. We got a much better result in 0025 than the default 032. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon in VoxAI. Don't forget to um, like this like this video and follow the channel for more tutorials, and join our Discord community if you want to learn more with others and see what we share and get updates about VoxAI earlier and faster than anybody else. See you around. Hey guys, actually after reviewing the porcupine with the full with the smallest cube size that we have, I found it actually quite funny. It would not for sure not be very optimized. There's a lot of unnecessary faces here that could create some issues in some environment. But I think with a few tweaks, it could look pretty cool. Just wanted to show you. All right, see you guys. Thank you.